What's going on with One Punch Man Season 3? It feels like it's been in production for forever and they have yet to show us anything, including any real footage or the core staff, and I say it calls for some speculation. And I love me some good old speculation. Let's talk about One Punch Man Season 3, what it can possibly look like, and realistically what to expect from it. Make sure to subscribe. So here's a brief timeline of events. Season 3 got announced back in the August of 2022, nearly 2 years back, and it was then followed by an extended period of silence. Way to go, marketing team. And then, a few months afterwards, a major source of anime leaks at the time, and I mean at the time, they got banished to the Shadow Realm shortly thereafter, seemingly confirmed that Studio Mappa would take over the third season. Now, most people who knew what the production lines at the studio looked like, including myself, were skeptical, but at the same time, we couldn't be completely sure. Mappa disregarding its own production conditions and picking up sequels to existing shows. I wonder if that has ever happened before. This was back in late 2022, and over a year later, in the February of this year, we got our first look at the show in the form of a short trailer, alongside a studio reveal and an incomplete staff list. And you might think, that's it, right? The show was being worked on for a long period of time, and then they dropped a trailer. What's the big deal? Why make an entire video about it? Well, views, but besides that, the trailer was almost certainly pre-animated, meaning the footage shown wasn't from the actual show, but rather was specifically animated to be a trailer. That was a speculation at first, but animator Kazunori Ozawa all but confirmed it, stating that he was the AD for the preview. And why would a preview have its own AD if it wasn't a specifically animated project? This whole pre-animated PV business is usually done when there is no actual footage to show, most likely because production either hasn't started yet or hasn't progressed far enough. That's why shows like Attack on Titan Season 4 and Chainsaw Man received pre-animated trailers. Also, they didn't even reveal who the director was. They named 3 character designers, including Season 1 and Season 2 character designer Chikashi Kubota, but that was it. It seemed like they themselves didn't know where the project was going. A pre-animated trailer isn't inherently a bad thing when done right. It's basically concept art, the trailer, but I was and still am confused as to why they would follow up an 18-month-old announcement with what is effectively another announcement that doesn't actually reveal anything new. Was the initial announcement premature? Probably. One Punch Man has seemingly been in production purgatory for close to 2 years now, and based on how popular the brand is, I'd imagine they'd announce something as soon as they could, and the fact that they haven't means they probably can't. It's easy to look at the announcement date and go, oh, production has been ongoing for 2 years, but that's almost certainly not the case. To put it in perspective, Season 2 of One Punch Man was announced back in 2016 and the show itself aired in 2019, almost 3 years in between, but the product clearly suffered from production issues, meaning the date of announcement means next to nothing. So what were they doing for the past 2 years? Well, worst case scenario, nothing, but let's be optimistic here. What if much of that time period was spent planning the project out? Pre-production is a step that often finds itself on the chopping block as companies try to cut time. Get it? Chopping block, cut time, I'm a poet. Maybe they spent at least some of that time planning things out. Maybe they organized the project in a manner in which it can accommodate the personal schedules of highly sought after freelancers. Maybe the early announcement was just a greedy marketing ploy meant to generate buzz and doesn't reflect on the actual production conditions. It's all speculation, of course, but that would be nice. Although that also means we are in for a long wait, which is fine by me. Any sane individual would be on board with the idea of artists taking their time. I just hope these past 2 years were used in some way, shape or form in a productive manner. There are 3 things I'm looking forward to the most from this upcoming season. 1. Kenichiro Aoki's work. For those of you who don't know, Aoki was the main action animator for the second season and he did an ungodly amount of work. Participating in every single episode and animating most of the highlights, he went above and beyond. It's obvious that he will do a lot for the third season. Remember that pre-animated trailer I talked about? He animated the whole thing, which is both promising and concerning. I tweeted that a while back and oh god, what have I done? It blew up on the One Punch Man subreddit and people misunderstood what I meant by the the term concerning. Of course, the decision to drop a pre-animated trailer at this stage is intriguing, to put it nicely, but I was referring to something else. I was simply expressing my concern over the possibility that the third season, just like the trailer, would be carried by one man. Which brings us to the second thing I'm looking forward to, the range of talent that might participate on the third season. I don't want season 3 to be a one-man show. And I know animators like Yuji Takagi, Yuki Suzuki, and freelancers like Ryo, Yan BM, Julian Bentley, and more worked on it. But there was a clear discrepancy between their combined work and the work done by Kenichiro Aoki. I want him to go all out, who doesn't? But I don't want him to be the only major source of highlights. Get more people on board, perhaps some JC staff regulars, or maybe even some of the season 1 talent, maybe even those Studio Land freelancers, many of whom have gone on to become some of the best animators in the industry currently. The name One Punch Man has to draw talent towards it, as long as the production conditions aren't awful. Take advantage of that. And finally, I am looking forward to the CGI use, which is probably inevitable. That's right, it's genuinely exciting. If the 3D team is the same as season 2, I say we are in for a treat. Unless you are one of those all CGI is bad CGI types. The CG back in season 2, produced by Studio Moe and JC Staff's in-house CGI department, was incredible. The 2D-like line work, the smears, it was genuinely amazing. I haven't read the manga, but I have seen a bunch of insane-looking panels, and I seriously doubt that all of them will be hand-animated, and as always, that's fine. It's not 2006. CGI can look fantastic and, dare I say, as good as, if not better than, its 2D counterpart. So, with all that out of the way, what can we expect? Well, it's hard to make any concrete assumptions without an actual trailer, but I do think that this season will look better than the last one. Just a quick reminder, season 1 was one of the best looking action shows ever. It featured a plethora of incredible talent, veterans and rookies alike. Comparatively, season 2 was a downgrade, however, it was nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. With that in mind, I think season 3 will be the middle ground in terms of quality. I will be an optimist and assume that both the pre-production process and the production phase will be more organized this time around, and the staff will have more time. Hopefully, they know how significant this IP is and how much fans care about animation quality these days. Trust me, if fans were upset back then, they will be furious now. They know just as little about the subject, but they care a lot more. And that brings us to the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this can be its own video, to be very honest. I want to address the concept of expectations. I think an average fan's idea of what constitutes a good-looking show is quite inaccurate. You cannot look at a project like Jujutsu Kaisen and consider that to be the norm. You just can't. You can't expect the entire industry, talent capable of carrying entire productions by themselves, to come together every time a popular action IP gets adapted. That's not how anime works. People expect every fight to be filled with Sakuga, and that is simply not possible for 99% of shows. Now, I will admit, season 1 of One Punch Man was that rare 1%, and once you get a taste of that, it's very difficult to settle for less, but realistically, you have to. Even if season 3 looks significantly better than season 2, I sincerely doubt it'll hold a candle to the animation insanity that was season 1. I'd love to be proven wrong. I love this series, I want the best for it, but let's get real. I see people hold shows to that unfair standard all the time, and it's simply stupid. Great looking shows, Solo Leveling for example, saw an unfair amount of criticism directed its way simply because not every episode looked as good as episode 11. Most of you don't watch shows that are actually broken. If you did, you'd appreciate the slightest bit of competent animation a lot more, which pretty much sums it up. If my theory is correct, the release date for season 3 will tell us a lot. If production started, I don't know, this year, creating a good-looking product will take a long time. So the sooner it comes out, the more concerning it is. Of course, genuinely hoping for the best. That's about it. Liked the video? Check out this other bit of content on screen. Like and subscribe, and until next time.